sense for. Oh, hello. All right, so I wanted to start off with a little bit of an icebreaker, because why not? I mean, we all know each other, which is awesome. But I wanted to see what is y'all's Hebrew birthdays.
Yesterday.
Happy birthday!
I just realized it yesterday. I was looking at my watch and I was like, wait a minute.
Yom Yom Huledet, Yom Yom Huledet, Yom Yom Huledet, Hag Sameach.
There's like 4 days ago.
Yeah, it was on Wednesday, 19th of Cheshvan.
Yeah, we're close.
Okay, so we got wait, what is
22nd?
It's 22nd, okay. 22nd, Cheshvan.
You do a calculator.
18th of Elul.
18th. I was thinking 17th, but
Is mine? Oh, maybe mine's the 17th.
I
would be
could totally be wrong.
Chabad has a Jewish birthday calculator.
Oh,
That's what I just
That's
pulled
what
out.
That's the one I always go to.
Are you
Oh.
finding it for me, or
Oh, cool.
finding it for yourself?
I know mine.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Do we have a book for? It's not like this. It's like, well, it's like retyping all of it. So I'm just gonna. 1999, December 16th. You were born on Thursday, and were you born in the morning or at night?
The morning.
Okay. 7th of, no. Was it? The 7th of Tevet.
Oh,
Interesting. How does that happen?
wait, what's your
16th of December.
Oh, that makes sense.
It could have just
It
been
could.
late. or
Oh,
early.
wait, really? Wow.
Wait, I don't, what is it?
7th of Tibet?
Yeah, because Kislev is usually like December.
So her birth parsha is probably the last one, right?
That's pretty cool.
Vayash.
28th of Tibet.
28, that's me? Or
No, that's
you?
me.
Oh.
28th, okay, wow.
I guess
We're
the
both in
7th of
Tibet.
Tibet.
So we got 2 Cheshvan, 2 Tibet, and 1 Elul. That's really interesting.
We're like grouped.
Yeah. And like so like our sun sign is kind of like different than what we do on the calendar because it's led by the moon. Well, it's both, but for this purpose.
Mine's the 19th,
19th? Or both?
so we can look at in her there. Yeah, make sure. Actually, I do.
Where does this go?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
isn't it
good point.
2097? Wow.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh
That's
my
crazy.
gosh.
Oh, that will be in-
Yeah, I think we used a calculator, but it should be.
See if this is it.
So in this class, I like to highlight birthdays as well as, we're not going to go into the Torah portions right now, but it's like a nice way to kind of look and see what energies were going on around your birthday, because that tells a lot to your soul mission. And especially your Torah portion. So like we know during Tibet, there's well, there's not really like a holiday, but it's a commemoration more so of like fasting for the temple. And then Cheshvan, which we'll be talking about, no holidays. That's unique at all, no observances. And we're gonna get into the nuts and bolts in regards to that. And then Elul, it's that time for preparation, for us to walk into these intense holidays of Tishrei. So, if you can take out your, it says the mystery behind the Hebrew months. And we're gonna kind of go through a little bit of these questions. When you think of Cheshvan, what comes to mind?
Calm.
Calm, okay.
In a way.
if it's like aligned with Scorpio, I kind of think fiery.
Interesting. Okay.
Especially
Scorpio.
in Florida and in the weather.
It's interesting
been
you say
fiery.
fiery because you're not wrong. Because it's a very intense time, but it's actually led by water.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's actually, if you think about the water signs, there are 3 throughout the 12 different zodiac. And Scorpio is connected with ice.
Oh.
So imagine if you're going out, you know, on a cold day, you feel super cold, but when you walk into a warm room, what happens?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You feel this
you
fire.
burn.
Yeah.
So we kind of are in Scorpio season, melting down the layers of that ice.
Hmm.
Anything else
Ice
in
in the
regards to
veins.
Cheshvan that comes to mind? No wrong answers.
The luau is very short.
The what?
When I look at the luau, it's just like go right down the list. It takes up like 3 pages for the entire month.
Anything else?
Our anniversaries Rosh Hashanah, so for
Oh,
us it's a month of celebration.
Mazel Tov.
But typically I would think it's a month of break, like a break between holidays, intensity.
So a break from intensity.
I think we're riding on the wake of the previous month.
Ooh, I like that. Writing.
That's a good one. Surfing on the wave.
Okay.
Tishrei.
I like this. Surfing on the wave of Tishrei. That's awesome.
It's almost like when you're like climbing a mountain and you get to like a flat spot and then you like have to keep climbing up the mountain.
Right.
Like, okay, things will finally like calm down. Oh, nope. Okay, we're back to it. You
I
got a
love
little bit
that.
of a flat spot.
So what is the nickname for Cheshvan?
Mar-Cheshvan.
Yes.
It's
Mar,
on
which
here.
means
Bitter.
bitter, because we don't have any holidays right now. And I kind of put that little question mark in regards to the holidays. Because we can only see what's happening in this now moment. And so when we're looking at the months and the zodiac and these, when we go into bigger concepts about tikkun, things like that, it brings about other topics that we're kind of almost peeling back layers. So one of the things you'll look at on here is themes to go deeper on, which we will in this time and next week. The story of the flood. So the story of the flood actually started in Cheshvan. So Noach, flood. And it starts in Cheshvan, but it ends in Kislev. So I want to next week, we're going to go a little bit deeper into what is going on in this gap. And then, so with the flood, and then, sorry, then the next one, we have a concept that I actually was talking with the kids in Jewish studies this week. So it's connected to the Haftorah for Chaya Sarah, and it's when David passes on, well, he's about to pass on, and there's a discrepancy on who's going to take leadership. And Adonijah, if I'm saying his name correctly, is
Adonijah.
assuming power. And he's like making sure that he's securing his spot for the kingship. But then the prophet Nathan and Bathsheba are like, no, this isn't happening, and takes it to David, and King Solomon is now put into power. And that's a huge, huge piece to this puzzle in regards to Cheshvan, because we find out later on that during the month of Cheshvan, the temple, the first temple, was actually finished during this time. And so, actually, I want to go over that really quickly. Where's the... Oh, yeah, probably. The resource sheet. It will be on... Oh, okay. Introduction. Yeah, of course. So, would anybody like to read the introduction for me?
So Cheshvan, or as it is also known, Mar-Cheshvan, is the 8th of the 12 months of the Jewish calendar. In the Bible, Cheshvan is called the month of Bul, a name that stems from the word flood. The flood began on the 17th of Cheshvan and ended the following year on the 27th of Cheshvan. On the following day, the 28th of Cheshvan, Noah brought his sacrifice to God, and God swore never again to bring a flood upon the earth to destroy all of mankind, and then revealed the sign of his covenant with the world, the rainbow. Cheshvan is the only month which has no holidays or special mitzvot. We are taught that it is reserved for the time of the Mashiach, who will inaugurate the third temple in Cheshvan.
So there's different like a midrash in regards to this gap we have in the calendar, that we're laying a foundation here. It's empty because there's something more powerful coming to take its place, which is really powerful. And anybody want to read the letter Nun?
The letter Nun is considered to be the letter of Mashiach. As is said with reference to Mashiach, before the sun, his name is Yanon from Nun. Psalm 72:17. As a verb root, Nun means to begin, to reign. As a noun, it means the heir to the throne. Indeed, the Mashiach is also numerically related to the Scorpion, since Mashiach plus 358 plus 14 is equal to 372, the value of Scorpion. 14 is the value of David, and the 14th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Nun, the letter of the month of Cheshvan. Furthermore, the root letters of Cheshvan are Chet, Shin, Nun, and they permute to spell snake. One final point about the relationship of Cheshvan to the Mashiach, who rectifies the snake, is that whereas the snake is crooked and bent, the Nun in the word Cheshvan is straightened out as it is the final Nun as above.
That
Was that what I was supposed to read?
I think
Yeah.
we might have missed.
I
Was
reading
that the
letter.
second part of the?
I don't know.
I was reading about the letter.
Does it go in the back?
Oh, did I read the?
I kind of was wondering.
That's weird because it did start talking about the nun.
The resource sheets down.
Yes,
Yeah.
I gave one. I gave
Oh,
one.
yeah,
Okay.
because that's Scorpio up top, yeah.
My bad. I didn't. Okay. So I read the back right here. Okay.
At the top.
Cheshvan, the 8th month, is the month of Mashiach because 8 signifies the eternal revelation of the supernatural, the consummate state of rectified nature between the secret of the number 7. Whereas in our present reality, the harp played by King David and used in the temple has 7 strings, the harp of Mashiach possesses 8 strings. Just as 8 transcends 7, so does 50, the numerical value of Nun, transcend 49 equal to 7 squared. In our present reality, the Nun is bent over, confined by the boundaries of nature. With the coming of Mashiach, the Nun will straighten out, shape of the final Nun, and will break through the boundaries of nature, also descending below the line into the subterranean realms of reality in order to reveal there God's all-encompassing infinite light.
Wow. So that's super powerful.
That is very
So we have this like concept of like potential within Cheshvan. This is a great time to take what's hard and difficult in your life, pay attention to it. Because like we just came off a high point with Tishrei. You know, even though like we did this deep transformative work, you know, leading up to Tishrei and Elul, then we take it and we bring it up in regards to Yom Kippur. And we take it higher. Then Sukkot comes around and we amplify the energy. And then we have Simchat Torah. So all these holidays are bringing us higher and higher. But then we have this like gap in Cheshvan. And it's like, okay, let's not throw away what we just did. And so it's a time for us to be super intentional on what is those hard things and how can we like become the phoenix rising. And another theme within the month of Cheshvan is the water. So I want to take us to some self-reflection exercises here. So we have the journaling exercise, which you're more than welcome to do on your own, which says, reflect on areas of your life that need healing or cleansing. So if you can, you know, create the sacred space to be able to kind of write those things out, when you get to the meditation on water, which is visualizing water washing away any negative energies in your life. Water is super powerful. It's also associated with the Torah. It's associated with memory. We think about how we spell the word in Hebrew, mayim, begins with a mem. And that really is taking us into these other worlds of like, memory is powerful because of the fact we can use it to help us and take us into the future and into, you know, being active in the present moment, or we can go into the past and sting ourselves like the scorpion. But the water is its element, so we can cleanse it, so we can transform it. So is there something that you'd like to share that maybe is super heavy in your life that you want to transform?
Think about
It's a nice thing at home, you know, if you can't answer that here, and that's okay, you don't need to think about those things. And we can even go a little further with the visualizing the water and using the Psalms to amplify that energy. So I'm gonna bring this book in. So when I was studying Kabbalah, well, I study a lot, but I felt like this book really called to me. And as I was looking through it, it's the 72 names of God. But I happened to get to a point in here where it started mentioning the zodiac in regards to the degree point. And there's like 360 degrees in a circle, which, you know, 360 divided by 12 zodiacs, you get different pieces, like different degree points within that zodiac. And I found this page, which I can pass it along around, that has the Psalms connected with each part of the zodiac. And I was wanting some transformation in my life. I wanted to kind of figure out what I needed to focus on and transform it. And these particular Psalms address those. And so I used it as like a mantra. Every single day I'd wake up and wrap my tefillin. And if I didn't get to do shachrit in the morning, I would do this practice. I would take that particular degree point with like Scorpio or whatever, and I would say the psalm. I would learn it in English and I would learn it in Hebrew, and I would say it like 3 times, or whatever, I was called to. And I saw everything shift and change, and whether that was just my brain or not, I feel like it helped me in some way, shape, or form. And I got to use my tradition as a part of that. And so I just wanted to share that with you, that this is something to use during this time of Cheshvan. And you're more than welcome to take a picture or copy of it. And then the next thing in here is wrong page. The ritual with water. So every single morning we wake up, we say Modeh Ani, and we bring in that taste of gratitude. Then what's the next thing we do? Wash our hands. And the mystics believed that when we would wash our hands, that as we were sleeping in the night, our soul was actually, it left our body and went to go do holy work. We don't know what that, maybe we're conscious of it, maybe not, most likely not. And then when we say Modeh Ani in the morning, or Modeh Ani, we start bringing that essence back, and then we seal in the deal with the ritual of water. When we take out, and the Nedovasser, and we ritually wash our hands. It's said that the soul actually enters back in through the palms, and which is amazing to me, because I think of all the different healing things that, with Reiki and all these different energies. But when we're putting intention into the day, we can use this ritual to transform our day. And so, and it's all about that kavanah, right? So let's see here. And then, of course, another thing we can go and do, take action. I know I can't sit still. Is align with the Cheshvan or Scorpio energy of resilience and transformation by doing acts of kindness. That even though we may be feeling some type of way, maybe we actually approach that particular subject and go and help another person. And of course, focus on appreciating hidden blessings in our life. So I just wanted to give a little bit of practices we can correlate with the month of Cheshvan. And also you'll find here the parshas. Do we know which parshas are a part of Cheshvan? Well, at least for this year, because sometimes it changed a little bit depending on the year, but normally we have,
Okay, Sarah.
right? I don't want to write this down. Did you say Kaya, Sarah? Any others?
You learned.
I did.
Noah, Hera, Sarah told it.
Okay. So these are really powerful. You know, it's very different than any time of year. You know, we start off like, you know, with Bereshit, which begins in Tishrei, and everything is kind of in balance. We're seeing like two of everything kind of deal, right? We're getting that balance. We're coming into, you know, like the void and then the beauty. But then we get to these intense subject matters of the flood. Abraham, you know, leaving his dad, and leaving his past behind him and going forth for the journey ahead, where that leads to, you know, him marrying Sarah, these intense topics of Sodom and Gomorrah and the Akedah, which we can, you know, there's lots of different midrashim in regards to that. And it's the second time we actually approach that particular piece because we read it on Rosh Hashanah. So it's almost kind of like a little bit of a repeat for us to remember these intense topics. And then we go into Chaya Sarah, which actually is the death. And, you know, it's the repercussions from what happens in Vayira. And then Yitzhak meeting Rivka, which we went through this week. And then we go into Yitzhak and Rivka having the twins. And so like these themes are very congruent with Cheshvan. When we get to Kislev, we see a shift in the storyline where like the energy's lightened a bit. And so next week, I want to talk a little bit more about the flood and some of how we can take that energy, that's the intensity, and start working it and walking it towards the miracle, towards the Kislev energy. But yeah. So last part I want to do is a little bit of a group discussion, and I have written down the questions down here. What does hidden potential mean to you in this month of Cheshvan? That could be somewhere in, like, connection to your life in general.
Well, stuff you're not really even thinking that you can do or thinking of.
So it's kind of harder.
Well, it's not on your conscious level.
It's kind of,
So,
okay.
You're worried about the other things, but not this thing that maybe this is a hidden potential or a hidden risk or a hidden something.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I could be like you're bringing yourself up in Tishrei and you're building your like spirituality up and you're at a high level, and then you kind of like you don't want to let it just crash again. So maybe like the hidden potential is using that energy to continue to like do good and to put the energy and the enthusiasm that you have from the past month into something productive in the next month,
I like that.
potentially.
I like that.
It's about the integration of the energy.
I like that. Integration.
Yeah, I like that too. It's like with all the work that you do in Tishrei and then saying, last year I didn't, I worked, but I didn't get where I wanted. Now I have new goals for the next year and to actually start working on them.
Yeah. New Year's resolution, but you gotta actually keep them now. It's like the critical moment of the year.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're actually gonna
If you
do
don't
this.
start, it's harder.
It's interesting because Kashvan is also correlated with like the sacred space. And it's almost like at an etheric level, we have to kind of like pay attention, like what you said with the integration, on how do we build that for the next year. And it's like awaking to that, to those hidden potentials. What's interesting is how do we discover growth? We have to have some type of measurement of time, right? And I always, when I look at Cheshvan, I also, in my mind, of course, I think of the year later, but sometimes that's a little bit too tumultuous. I think about 6 months, because that's half of the year, right? And what's happening during that time? Do we know what month that is?
On the other side of this,
Yeah.
not Nissan ER.
Yes. So if you actually take out
It's the Omen, right?
exactly. So if we take out this model right here, it shows us what is directly across, like what are we planting seeds for? When we look at 6 months, we're planting seeds in one area and transforming it on the other side. And so IR is really interesting. And so actually, Rabbi David, I'm really glad you walked into the room, because were you Nissan or IR?
My birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
ER?
Mhm.
Okay. What's your birthday? We wrote it all down on the side. Sivan? Okay. All right. So, like, you consciously, like, birthdays, that's something that we awake to. Like, this is what's going on. I know, Can you think about what you were, like, wanting to put in place or wanting to grow during the time of your birthday? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I think pretty hard on that. Well, it's usually the time when we start thinking about going to camp.
Okay.
So I'm in charge of growing the vegetable garden.
Okay.
So that is like
Okay.
lush growing.
I like that. And ironically, IR is literally about growing. It's the physical transformation, where Scorpio or Keshvan is more of the etheric, where we're kind of dealing with the energies. And it's really interesting to see specifically the dynamic between the two. So did you happen to see a lot of growth? I mean,
Actually, it was really Sivan
was it Sivan?
yesterday.
Okay. Same point though, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, were you able to kind of go see any growth with that? Did you plant the stuff there or?
Actually,
Here.
I planted stuff at home to take there.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
Had to plant the seeds.
Okay.
And I got this, last year I got this heating pad to warm up the soil. And they're supposed to, germinate faster like that.
That's awesome. So we can see that, when we break it down a little bit and we focus like, okay, well, right now, these are the things that I'm dealing with, whatever they are. 6 months from now, we're going to be in the middle of the counting of the Omer, which we've already gone through, Pesach and the redemption. So maybe, it's something that we can maybe even start like a little journal or something like that to see what transforms in our lives, because this is the time to like pay attention to that, essentially. You're gonna say something?
Oh, no, it's just
You got it. Okay.
it's really externally could see how it transforms
Mhm.
over the, you know. Because I'm thinking back and it does feel like, you know, it does follow that pattern. You know, you're on one side of the year, you're kind of like internally growing, but then on the other side of the year, you're physically growing and changing and altering and just reflecting on that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The next prompt I had was, how can we balance bitterness and sweetness in our lives? This is a difficult one, I feel.
It's finding joy in the little things, which is difficult to do some days.
Truth.
Remembering the extremes. So when you're at one extreme, remembering the other and knowing that you'll always return. Like if you're in dark, cold month where there's nothing going on like Keshvan, and you're like, wow, I really wish we had a lot of holidays right now. You remember, oh, well, we had a bunch of holidays and a bunch of spiritual uplifting in Tishrei, and I was going crazy at that point. So it's good to know that, you know, this too shall pass.
Ooh, words by King Solomon. Interesting. That was actually one of the biggest phrases in my life. I had no idea it was connected to the Torah at all, or, well, Tanakh. And my granny always used to say that to me. I thought she said, this tooth shall pass. But, you know, I had just lost a tooth. It was on my brain. But that's really cool. Anything else in regards to balancing the bitterness and the sweetness in life? Kind of reminds me a little bit of Havdalah, because we have this beautiful day of Shabbat, and then we have to transition into the regular week, which is great, but it's that bittersweet, you know? And so that, like you said, paying attention to the little things like smelling or the light itself or the taste, you know? I like it. And then the last discussion. Oh, yes, please.
Is that a thought? To me, Heshvan is actually harder than Tishrei, because Tishrei, you make all these plans, you say, I'm gonna do this, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But, you know, and you know, you're prompted to do that, and you're with all the community in Heshvan, now you gotta put them into effect. And that's always the hardest thing, to actually do something. Easy to think something and have to vow it or do it, or think it and say, I'm gonna do it, but do it. And so part of it is balance between bitterness and sweetness, maybe is to say, if I'm ever gonna transform or change or do whatever, I'm gonna have to get over the bitterness of how I view myself or my past or whatever, and
Yeah.
sort of balance it with the sweetness of all the things that you've been gifted, you know, and maybe that's just a thought for Heshvan to actually change your orientation, your attitude, I should say mine, not yours.
The general you.
Generally, yeah, the general you. And to, as in Rabbi Danny's class, you know, the orientation, if you don't change your orientation, then it's really hard to change anything.
True.
And so this whole balance of bitterness and sweetness, maybe with obsessing over the bitterness, negative, I would say. But it's tough. That's why Heshvan is tough. There's sort of this what do we call it, vacuum that you gotta fill.
Right.
And then, you know, it's tough. Especially as you get older, you got more to look back on and, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
Less time to do it.
Truth. What Danny?
Okay, yeah, I'll add that, I was thinking about, because we have the word Chaye Sarah on the board, so in the opening line, like El Chaye Sarah, I mean, it says that she was a stream Shana, I mean, Mea Shana, Stream Shana, Sheva Shana, Shani, when she died. So why does the Torah repeat? And Rashi brings the answer that because it was all the same to her, all the years of her life, the good things that happened, the bad things that happened, we learn from that this ideal of like a value of hishtavut, of keeping things in perspective and in balance in life.
Yeah.
As an orientation, like when you consider what's going on in your life, to not get, like if somebody insults you, to not like let that shake you to your core, or if somebody praises you, not to let that like go to your head. So a balance in terms of like Mar-Cheshvan, I would think maybe, like don't go into despair because there are no holidays, like don't like go off the high of Rosh Hashanah, like find that middle, the balancing place of not neutrality. It's not like an emotional neutrality, but finding a balance between how you react to the things that are great that are happening and the things that are horrible that are happening. And I just want to say that's like definitely a work in progress for most people. It's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
If I were in a tunnel, I don't know what kind of hishtavut I'd have. I'd probably be horribly, like like just thinking about our people, and it's hard to be happy sometimes because we're in a depressed time as the Jewish people.
Yeah.
But but not to like allow the time to like drain you of all your joy. Like try to find the balance of, whatever joy you have in your life, like elevate that, like try to keep yourself in balance. Don't let yourself fall into despair, but don't like be oblivious and like be joyful, like when our people are suffering.
Right.
So I'm thinking about that.
And setting the intention right now, like as this class, like that it will come home soon. Truly. Something that I was processing while like we were all talking in energy, I was thinking about the parshas and a little bit, it's kind of a bittersweet. It's also a hidden potential is the story that Lot and his two daughters, just horrible story, right? Like intense. But if that did not happen, we wouldn't have King David. He wouldn't exist because Ruth was a Moabite. And even in the toughest of times, Hashem will transform any story into beauty. Amen. And then the last discussion prompt I have was, how does the symbolism of water relate to your personal journey?
Well,
Mhm.
we had some troubles with water this past year.
Truth.
Yeah, we had our apartment flooded, from Debbie, not from even
Oh,
Elaine
wow.
or Milton, but having to like pack up all of our stuff and run twice after that in fear of the waters rising. It kind of puts it into this new perspective that water is great and gives you life and is amazing, but it's also, on the other hand, can be a really challenging thing and can be destructive and can be,
Yeah.
but
Water gives and takes away.
exactly, water gives and water.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow. That's epic. Anybody else? Well,
Well, it's a sort of a topless one,
okay.
which is, so I just was up on the roof before.
Oh boy.
So we had a new leak in the roof in the school wing
Hmm.
that was in the center of the building, not in the usual places.
It's going down like every 6 feet. There's a new like little circle.
Yeah. So the drains on the roof were totally clogged up with leaves,
Mm.
totally clogged.
Oh, wow.
And so even with that little bit of rain that we had just last week, it's still like pooled up because it had nowhere to go out. So you
Mm,
have to let the waters flow.
oh, man. Yeah, wow. It's interesting. It's like this Cheshvan energy is not a matter of balance, it's more of the extremes. And you know, it's it's interesting to see where we can have that in our lives where we actually block certain areas or not, you know, feel like we don't have enough or different things like that. And we got to open up the floodgates. It's a matter of putting our awareness there. It's interesting. So, um, you know, I want to say thank you for letting me do this class. And I know I got a little intense at the beginning. I didn't know where I was going. I was still trying to integrate into the space. But you have lots of different materials here that you can, you know, like answer the ones that have the more space on it is more of like thoughtful questions that you can kind of reflect on. Yeah, of course we talked about them, but sometimes it takes a moment to kind of integrate into those questions.
Yeah.
You know, there's a classroom perspective and there's a personal perspective. And then I gave you guys the holidays and then a blank one as well. So I hope you got the blank one because the blank one is, you know, I often find out, even though I know the holidays and the months, I like to write them out because it actually brings up things for me of things that I've been working through during those months. And you can actually keep it like if we're doing more of these classes, you know, we can build upon them. So maybe even just fill in Cheshvan or maybe Cheshvan and IR and like make a little conversation with yourself in regards to this model. One, you'll learn the holidays and or the months more so. And you know, and you could even add in the zodiac to each one, which we know that for Cheshvan is Scorpio, and for IR is Taurus. And we can keep building upon this sacred space, essentially. And then there's some more stuff that we didn't necessarily go over. There's the tribe of Menashe, which is super interesting. But next week, I'm probably going to be, I don't know if I'm going to print them out or just have a Tanakh here. We're going to go over some more like, you know, scripture stuff that is connected to this, and I'll draw some conclusions. Cheshvan's a intense one because there's so much information. I'm sure there's a lot for other ones too, but I feel super connected because I'm Cheshvan baby.
Are you gonna record next week too?
I can, yeah.
Because we might not be able to make it. We have family in town, so
Then
we'll
yes.
see if we can make it.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I'll be here for actually. Is that 10:30?
Yeah,
We have school, so I can't make it either.
gotcha. Then
But
yeah.
I will. We'll watch it
Okay.
if you want.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We can watch together if you want.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I hope this was